and we make sure everything we do is through the lens of community and contributing value to our vibrant neighborhood. Open daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. We look forward to serving you. Starbucks North Shore, inspiring and nurturing the human spirit, one person, one cup, and one neighborhood at a time. Starbucks at 10 North on the North Shore. Locally owned and operated by Vision Hospitality Group.
92.7 Nooga Radio.
There goes the neighborhood. There goes the neighborhood.
We've got you covered. Brought to you by Chattanooga Roofing Contractors. I'm your host, Scott Schrader. Hey, thanks for joining us. What we hope to do with this show every week is to kind of give you a little help when it comes to things dealing with home ownership, home improvement, everything from financing to home security, from roofing to the lawn and landscape. If you have any questions, feel free to give us a call. I'm here with my guest, Doug Gray. Doug and I have been friends for a long time. He is from Wynn Home Inspections. How you doing, Doug?
Doing good. Glad to be here this morning.
So how did you get into doing home inspections?
Well, it was kind of an odd thing. I purchased my first home just about 13 years ago, and my real estate agent was an elderly gentleman, told me not to get a home inspection, said he would walk me through it, tell me everything that was wrong with the house. I was a first-time home buyer, thought he was saving me a few $100. I buy the house, he passes away from an illness, and I find I bought a house that needed about 10 grand in repairs. Had I gotten an inspection, they easily would have found the majority of that. So when I found myself in a position to get into this, it was something that I was interested in and had been following on TV on various home improvement shows. So it just seemed like a natural direction to go in.
Yeah. We've run into a lot of that dealing with people that think that, they're going to save a little bit of money by cutting some corners.
Yeah.
And, just like going with a cheaper contractor that's not licensed, not insured, that saving a little bit of money ends up costing you a lot in the long run. So if I'm going to be buying a house, why do I need a home inspector other than just the obvious that you just stated?
Well, purchasing a home is probably the largest purchase you're ever going to make in your life. We spend far more time selecting the pair of shoes we're going to buy. We try them on, we walk up and down the aisle, we look at a couple of other pair. But when you look at a home, you've got 10, 15 minutes in there with your agent on the initial showing. You may have pulled it up online, looked at a few photographs, but you're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars in some cases. And you've only got a very limited amount of time and a cursory view of that property. A home inspection will give you a far more in-depth view of the structure and systems of the home, plumbing, electrical, HVAC, and the areas of the home that you're not going to be able to look at, the attic, the roof, the crawl space, just inaccessible areas that you don't have enough time to view. So it's for the amount of money you're spending on the home, the few $100, $300, $400 that you're going to spend on a home inspection. It's rare that I don't find $300 to $400 worth of needed repairs on any inspection. And that's probably the same with any home inspector in Chattanooga. So the worst you're going to do generally is break even on your home inspection. But in the majority of cases, you're going to get far more in repair value than you spend on the inspection itself.
But so when you're purchasing a home, I mean, they're legally obligated to tell you about things that they know about. And of course, every time somebody sells a home, they're always perfectly honest and don't ever leave anything out.
All good people. All good people.
Right. So I think the term that a friend of mine in real estate says, buyers are liars and the sellers are too.
Yeah.
So, but dealing with things that it might be something that the homeowner doesn't know. Leaking pipes, bad electrical, not everyone that owns a home is completely up on what they need to know.
And for the most part, most homeowners do the right thing. I mean, if you're living in a home and you have a plumbing leak, you get it fixed. But the areas that people don't look at, their attics and crawl spaces, those are largely forgotten, neglected areas of the home. Those are the areas that we generally find the bigger issues in. And those are the areas where you find the most expensive repairs in.
I think we got a caller right now. How you doing, caller?
Good. I love Nuga Radio. I'm so glad you guys are on the air. Let me tell you what happened. I found the perfect house. The perfect house. and got a home inspector, and guess what we found? Termites.
Sure.
And I didn't buy it because 30 years ago I had a bad experience. And I just didn't buy it. But had I not done that inspection, I wouldn't have known it.
And termites
But
can
here's
be.
my main question. I bought another house one time, and the air conditioning unit went out the day I bought it. I mean, it was a major thing. The homeowner fortunately paid for it. I didn't ask her. She did it out of the kindness of her heart. And I listened to the answer on the radio, but are things like that covered when you buy a house, like air conditioning units and so on? I never checked into it, but I just won't buy a house of theirs.
The quick answer is no.
In a station like that. And I'll listen on the radio.
All right. Thank you, caller.
The quick answer is no, they are not covered unless you get a home warranty, which is popular now, which will cover, depending on the level of your home warranty, the systems of the home, plumbing, electrical, HVAC, and the appliances. But that's one of the limitations of a home inspection. It is a visual, non-invasive inspection of the condition of the home on the day of the inspection. That AC unit can work fine on the day of the inspection, and 2 weeks later it go out, or the pipes freeze and bust, or the water heater dies. So you're kind of taking a chance there, but a home warranty generally is your best route to go when purchasing a home.
Now, getting back to that, where you're talking about it being a visual home inspection, that it's non-invasive.
Right.
So dealing with things like HVAC, are you allowed to go in and check like heat exchangers and things like that?
We're actually not supposed to. In fact, that came up. I was having a discussion with my liability insurer, and I was told that if I open that heat exchanger, if I open that cabinet to get into the AC unit, I'm actually voiding my insurance on that inspection. If I'm testing the unit as function, just for basic functionality, is it producing the desired hot and cold temperatures at the vent level, then I write it up as functional. If I see an issue, I'm supposed to advise that buyer to get a more invasive inspection from a licensed HVAC technician. Because we're not licensed HVAC people, I'm guessing. Now, the heat exchanger is a little different. We can look at that and see that the plenum is cracked, or the flames, if it's a gas unit, are coming out in odd areas and it's not correct. Sometimes those have windows in them where you can actually see that without opening it up. That's a little bit different, but we are actually not supposed to be opening that cabinet to look at the interior of the unit.
So as you're getting into that brings up a good point, because as you're getting into things that are starting to show at a little age, maybe you have an HVAC unit, especially being a gas unit that has 10 to 12 years age on it, you definitely want to go in and get a licensed HVAC tech to come in and take a look at that heat exchanger, because that's not just an issue dealing with
a safety issue.
It's a safety, with the warranty or the life of the unit, but it's something that if there is a bad heat exchanger in there and you don't have carbon monoxide detectors in the appropriate places, that could put the safety of your family at risk. I mean, people go to sleep and they don't wake up.
Sure.
Dealing with other things like roofing that we see a lot of, it's not a safety issue, but your roof protects everything that's in your home.
Yeah.
So, we'll see roofs that there might have some telltale signs that it was not installed correctly. And what will happen is a lot of disreputable contractors will do things the fast way, and they don't have enough nails in the nail zones. And then you can't see that from just a visual inspection. Of course, your liability, you can't go in and take the tabs up to be able to check that, where we can, because we can repair anything that happens while we're there. But if you don't have enough nails, if it's not nailed on properly, then you end up voiding out your warranty. It can have issues if you have a blow off and your insurance company might not cover it. We're dealing with that with a woman right now. She had a roofer come in after these storms, storm chaser, and he looked really good and had a nice little Bible verse on his business card, but he had no idea where to put the nails. It wasn't run correctly. We went out and met her insurance agent, the adjuster, and they said, "I'm sorry, but we can't cover this because, even though the roof's only 5 years old, it was installed incorrectly, so we can't give her another roof."
And that goes into the home warranty. pretty much the same with your appliances, your water heater, your HVAC system. If they were never installed properly and you go to use a home warranty or a manufacturer's warranty, they will void that warranty and not pay because it was not installed properly initially. Your home inspection catches a lot of that on the front end, particularly on your water heaters and your appliances. Roofs are a little different story. It's a little harder for a home inspector to do an invasive inspection on a roof. We've got a very limited view. Steep pitch roofs we don't walk on. We're doing a roof level. Some of us use drones for aerial photography to get in close around chimney flashing. A roofing contractor, if I suspect an issue or see evidence of an issue, I will refer you to, as a buyer, to a roofing contractor to do a more invasive investigation of that shingle. Because, it's if it's not installed properly, and frequently they are not, you're going to have problems. And that's the one issue with roofs is it doesn't manifest itself immediately. The problem comes 6 months to a year down the road after that storm chaser has left town and you don't have any avenue of redress. You can't call anyone to complain to. So a good roofing contractor can investigate that roof and tell you if you've got any issues immediately.
Yeah, that's so right. When you're talking about that, when you have somebody come in and put on a roof, that problems won't show up for a decent amount of time. We actually went down to an event by one of the manufacturers of one of the brands that we put on, and they were telling us about this new system that they have, and it's called a SureNail strip that's in the shingle itself. And the contractor thought that SureNail strip means that they didn't have to put nails on. So they nailed the first course, and then they just laid out the shingles for the entire rest of the roof.
It's like
that roof stayed on for 9 months without a leak, without a single nail in it. So their adhesives worked out well, but then once things started going bad, they really progressed really quickly. And of course, the installer was nowhere to be found.
Sure.
Because, it was 2 men and a bag of weed roofing.
Yeah. I've seen roofers in order to save $50 on a job, they'll run felt around the outer 1 foot edge around the perimeter so that if an inspector or city municipality inspector raises the shingle up, he sees felt for just 1 or 2 feet. And there's nothing else under they may have saved $50 to $100 on that job by doing that.
Right.
And yet it's completely wrong and they're scamming the buyer.
Right. Well, so let's talk about home inspectors right now. I mean, we do more than just roofing. We handle siding, we handle paint, drywall, we build decks, things like that. But a lot of times we'll get calls from people that we've done roofs for that have gotten a report from an inspector. And, sometimes the inspector didn't find anything, but what they feel like they have to do is find something that they're going to make the seller fix just to justify what they've done,
what they've paid, what they've charged for.
Yeah. And we had one where we had this home inspector, we had, 2 inches of shingle overhanging down into the gutter.
Right.
They were going to stop the sale of that house for an extra half inch of, hold up the sale of the house for an extra half inch of shingle hanging into the gutter. But, there was no pictures going into any of the crawl spaces. We've seen a lot of them.
Sure.
They come out and, you're talking to them and they're going to go do the home inspection. And you're just thinking in your head, I know you're not climbing under that house.
That's exactly. They're getting technical there. I mean, the city has I think it's drip edge is 2.5 inches or something. I've got the listings from my reports, but if it's overhanging into the gutter, I'm not going to have an issue with it unless it's short where it's not even reaching the gutter.
Right.
And you've got that gap there. Water can get behind into the soffit. You have to there is a judgment call there on some areas, but again, we are not, home inspectors are not specifically trained, and we're not roofers. We're not electricians. We're generalists. If we see a problem that we can identify or an issue that installation may create a problem, we will refer you or should refer you to a more qualified, licensed, specific technician in that area. Roofs have a myriad of issues that could easily be missed.
So it's kind of like going to your general practitioner.
That's exactly what it is. If you go to your doctor and he says you've got a heart issue, you don't want that doctor telling you he's going to do open heart surgery in his office the next week. You want him to refer you to a cardiologist or a heart surgeon to do that surgery. That's what we do. We find the general issue from the functionality standpoint. Is it working? Is it not working? What is the general condition? If there's an issue there, we will refer you to the qualified technician to diagnose and to address that and to give you estimates on the scope of the issue and what it might cost to repair.
So, all right. So I know that we need to have a home inspector when we're getting ready to buy a home. What if I'm the seller? And is there a need to have a home inspector maybe going in?
It actually makes more sense. I'm doing 2 pre-sale inspections next week. What the pre-sale inspection does, it gives you a heads up on any issues that you need repaired. Buying something as large as a home, psychology comes into play. If I do a home inspection that has 50 negative issues in the report, they may be insignificant independently. A loose doorknob, caulking around a bathtub, a missing outlet cover that's 50 cents, things of that nature. But when you get a whole list of them, it puts a negative flag in the buyer's head. He sees a list of 50 items. Wow, this house is falling apart, even though the total cost may be less than $500. As a seller, you can have those things identified and repaired prior to putting it on the market so that if the buyer does get an inspection, which many times they don't if they know it's been pre-inspected, all of those small items are taken out of the procedure or out of the transaction so they have a more positive image of the home. Now, hopefully, if there are any major issues, mold, damaged foundation supports, damaged leaking roof in the attic, something of that nature, you can either, as a seller, opt to have that repaired, or you can identify it, disclose it in your disclosure document, and price it into your home as you're putting it on the market so that you can make that allowance for the buyer. It just makes the transaction go smoother. The seller isn't blindsided by a buyer's inspection, having to decide whether they want to make $10,000 worth of repairs 1 week before closing. The example I use is in training in Seattle. When I got trained, we looked at a roof that had some issues. It was a contingent sale. The seller had already purchased another home. I had to sell this home. He had 5 days before closing. Buyer got one estimate of $15,000 to fix the roof. Seller took $15,000 off the price. Buyer moved into the house, got that work done, got more estimates, got it done for $5,000. Had the seller had that house pre-inspected for $400, $500 in Seattle, it's a little more than it is here. He would have put close to $10,000 more in his pocket at closing because he could have paid the $5,000 to have that repair made and gotten the full, price of the home he was asking. So it's advantageous for the seller to know what's coming and to get it inspected.
We run into that a lot with people that are getting ready to sell a home, and we work pretty extensively with real estate agents. Right. And one thing that we advise people all the time, if you're getting down toward the end of the life of your roof, say if it's a 3-tab roof and you're getting to 20 years, if it's an architectural roof and you're getting to 25 years, you're better off to go ahead and replace that roof, especially in this market right now, because this market is insane. I mean, houses are going, have contracts on them within just a couple of days, and they're going for $20,000 over asking price on a $200,000 home. So if your buyer has any type of just halfway competent real estate agent, they're going to ask for more money toward getting that roof repaired than what it would cost you to do it. If you go ahead and have it repaired, I guarantee you'll get back every dime you put into it, in either retaining the value of the home or increasing the value of the home. Absolutely. We got a question right now from Constance on Facebook Live. Constance asked, do you think a metal roof is better than a shingled roof? She has a metal one, but she just wanted to ask. So we run into this question all the time, and it depends what you're asking when you're defining what a metal roof is. So if you're looking for a roof that will last forever, the metal roofing manufacturers are going to tell you that a metal roof lasts forever. You're not ever going to have to worry about it again. Well, the metal part does last for a very, very long time. The paint coating, the Kynar finish or whatever baked on finish that it has on that panel, that also lasts for a good 40 to 50 years. And some of them are even warranted that long. But the problem is when you start getting into the different applications of the roof, whether it is a screw down or a hidden fastener, those neoprene washers that are under the screws can actually wear out and they can start leaking. So we'll come back to that after the break and discuss that a little bit more and different things like that. But thank you for joining us for our first segment. I really appreciate everyone that's listening. We're going to have Doug back on here in just a minute, and we'll continue to discuss more of your questions and get more into home ownership, inspections, and what you can do to extend the life of your home. Okay. Well, sorry, I'm new at this. We're trying to figure out our timing on this. If you have any questions, feel free to join us on Facebook Live. You can also give us a call at 1-800-8949. Yeah, 1-800-89 or 423-800-8949. Thank you for joining us on Nooga Radio.
Nooga Radio, Digital FM 95.3 HD4, 92.7 FM's news now.
Congrats to the Tennessee Aquarium, named one of the 10 best aquariums in the world. According to TripAdvisor, the Chattanooga-based aquarium ranked 7th in the 2018 rankings. The Georgia Aquarium placed 3rd on the list. Dozens of officers descended upon an East Chattanooga neighborhood Friday morning near the area of Roanoke Avenue and Cooley Street, guns drawn following reports of shots fired. Chattanooga police say they were searching for an African-American man with dreads wearing black shorts, possibly armed, but after about an hour and no results, officers left the scene. No further information is available. And Labor Day weekend expected to be extremely busy on the roadways, and not with those traveling out of the area, but into the Chattanooga area. Last year, Tennessee visitors spent more than $20 billion, setting a new record for tourism in the state. Val St. John for Nooga Radio, News Talk 92.7, Action News Now.
Let's face it, Old Faithful isn't as faithful as it used to be. Constant repairs are a hassle and can rack up quick in money and time. Landers McClarty Ford can fix that. Right now, you can get a 2016 Ford Focus, 34,000 miles, only $11,491. A 2017 Chevy Spark with only 17,000 miles for less than $12,000. A 2015 Volkswagen Jetta with less than 21,000 miles for $11,991. Yeah, browse their entire inventory of new and new-to-you cars, trucks, and SUVs online at Landers McCarty Ford at FortPayne.com. Landers McClarty Ford of Fort Payne. If you can't find your next perfect ride, they'll go find it for you. Big city selection, small town prices, friendly service, and top dollar for your trade. The savings are waiting and only a short drive away, so what are you waiting for? Get started with your personalized shopping today at Landers McClarty Ford of FortPayne.com.
Nooga Radio.
Roar into Talladega.
Hello? Who am I speaking with? Eric, you're our winner. Really?
You'll receive tickets for all 3 races between the Camping World Truck Series, Xfinity Series, and the Monster Energy Cup races.
Holy cow.
In addition, you'll receive a 2-night stay at the Microtel Hotel and restaurant accommodations at 2 area restaurants.
Nooga Radio.
Roar into Talladega.
Nooga Radio.
92.7.
Your NASCAR racing station. Nooga Radio 92.7 FM.
Nooga Radio 92.7.
Join Nooga Radio and the Gridiron Gang live from 7 to 9 at Starbucks at 10 North on the North Shore. We're talking all things high school football. There's a specialty brew or refresher weekly inspired by the game of the week. Sweet treats, extended hours all season long, and we're pet friendly. Portions of all proceeds support local schools and educational scholarships as well as after-school programs. It's football time in Tennessee. Join us every Thursday live from 7 to 9 at Starbucks, 10 North, your North Shore neighborhood living room.
Your home is a constant work in progress. Repaint the walls? Yeah, easy enough. Leaky faucet? There's a video for that. But roof repair? You might want some help. That's where Chattanooga Roofing Contractors come in. They have 3 generations of roofing excellence you can count on. Leave the ladder in the garage. Go to chatroofing.com. That's chatroofing.com for Chattanooga Roofing Contractors, a roofing company you can trust.
Hey, Karen, you need me for that 1 o'clock?
Yes, Cheese, please. Karen, did you get the quarterlies done? Yep, they're filed in the cabinet.
Karen, can you describe the initiatives to the new hire? Thanks.
Oh, sure. Full-bodied, some floral notes, maybe a hint of dark chocolate.
Am I in the right department?
Got wine on the mind? Come unwind at Virgola. Italian wine, oysters, caviar, cheeses, and more. Perfect after work or a romantic date night. Virgola Italian Wine Bar, 608 Georgia Avenue.
Man, you sure you know what you're doing?
Yeah, I worked with my dad on his truck all the time. Just one more bolt to go.
Yeah, wrong bolt. Today's truck ain't your daddy's truck. For repairs on today's vehicles, you need AMCO Transmission and Total Car Care of Chattanooga on Lee Highway. Stay on the road, not in the garage. AMCO Transmission on Lee Highway. Get it done the right way. The Thompson Pet way. Yeah, I just put that anywhere.
Now, Rick wants you to buy on U.S. Gold American coins. Are you tired of making 1% on your investments with the banks? Even 2 or 3% at best? Now, Rick wants you to buy on U.S. Gold American coins.
Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds, Brainerd Road. Nooga Radio, Chattanooga weather.
For your Labor Day holiday weekend, looking pretty good. Only isolated afternoon showers and storms through Sunday. Drier for Labor Day with hot afternoons, highs upper 80s to around 90. Tired of the pressures and hassles of car shopping? Come see what more people are making the short drive to Jackson Chevrolet Buick GMC in Lafayette or online at jacksongm.com. That's Jackson Chevy Buick GMC in Lafayette. And I'm Swartine 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Report.
Nooga Radio 92.7.
There goes the neighborhood. There goes the neighborhood.
Scott Schrader back with We've Got You Covered Radio, brought to you by Chattanooga Roofing Contractors. Chattanooga Roofing Contractors is a full-service residential and light commercial roofing contractor. We can cover you from everything from repair to full replacement. If you'd like to get a quote, give us a call, 423-1-800-7752. Back in the studio with Doug Gray right now. We've been talking home inspection. Right before the break, we had a listener, Constance, who was asking about the benefits of or drawbacks to a metal roof over a shingled roof. And we were talking about, depending on which roofing system you use, whether it's the type where the screws go through the actual panel or a hidden fastener system. When you look at one where the screws go through the panel, it has a neoprene washer on the bottom side of the screw. What happens is that has to have tension on that neoprene washer. Now, after about 10 to 12 years, if you leave a piece of neoprene laying out in the weather, it's going to start drying out, cracking, breaking, and deteriorating. As that starts to happen, you get water that will run down the threads of the screw and end up weakening the decking. Now, as long as you know this going into it, dealing with a exposed fastener metal roof, you're fine. You just need to be ready every 10 to 12 years to go back in, pull every single screw out of that roof, and then go back and put a new, larger screw, hopefully still matching the color of the roof, back in. If you wait too long, especially if you have something like OSB decking, Doug, you know, you get any kind of water into that OSB decking, it expands and now no longer holds a screw, right, even if you put a larger one in.
Right.
If the screw doesn't hold and have good tension and compression on it, you've got a consistent leak that's going to keep going. And then you've got to, at the end of another 10 to 12 years, you've got to go back and you've got to find another screw that's bigger and can go into that exact same hole. So where a shingle actually lets the water shed off the top of it onto the next shingle and onto the next shingle, and there should be no exposed nails Now you've got a roof when dealing with an exposed fastener metal roof that you have the potential of, on a decent sized roof, 700 different leaks.
Oh, easily.
And so, not saying that is not a decent roofing system to use, because you can save money there, as opposed to getting, it's about the same price of an architectural roof. If you go to a hidden fastener system, what you're going to have is you're going to have no way for the water to get in, because the fasteners are underneath the metal panel held on by a clip. Now, that is going to cost you probably another 30 to 40% more than what you would have had to do a shingle roof or a exposed fastener system. So it's just like anything else. If you want to buy a car, there's some maintenance involved with it. If you're going to have a roof put on your house, for some reason, people think that you can just have that roof put on and you don't have to worry about it at all for the next 30 years.
Yep.
Some systems have more maintenance than the other, but everybody needs to get their roof inspected once a year, and your HVAC unit.
Yeah, those things need to be serviced annually, and it's not a bad idea. You need to do routine maintenance, cleaning your gutters out at least once, possibly twice a year anyway. So while you're up there, take a look at the flashing around the chimney, the step flashing, the flashing around any roof transitions, and the general condition of the shingles. Particularly, the one thing we see most probably are the deteriorated boot covers over the plumbing vent pipes coming through the roof. Those things dry rot after 5 or 6 years and crack. So,
and those once again are made out of the same material that those those washers are on the fasteners. They're neoprene.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with Chattanooga Roofing Contractors, what we do is we try to bring our installation up to a little bit higher level. So we don't use plastic boots anymore. We use lead pipe boots. It's the only thing that's going to last as long as the shingle's going to.
Sure.
And other than they're pretty much bomb proof, unless for some reason there are some squirrels that are suicidal and have decided that lead is something good to eat, but that rarely happens. So if you're looking for somebody that's going to be a contractor on your house, look for added value. Roofing especially has more complaints against it than any other trade with the Better Business Bureau. But the one thing that they all have in common with those complaints is they went with the lower priced option.
Yep.
And cheap is not always good. As a lot of time, it very rarely is. And, people think, well, I'll save some money by going with this guy that's maybe he's not licensed. He's thrown a ladder in the back of his truck, and now he's a roofer. And, that's, if you're looking for value instead of just cheap, that's definitely not the way to go. And it exposes you to a whole lot of liability.
It's easy for one thing I see as an inspector. I can tell people cut corners. The roofer offered them options to lower the price. One, they put the shingles directly over the existing shingles, which means they did not replace any of the soft decking underneath that was deteriorated and needed to be replaced. You're really not saving yourself money. You're hastening the demise of your new shingles by doing that. So you may be saving money on the front end, but you're lowering the effectiveness of your product on the back end. So you might save $600.
Exactly. And when you're looking at that, you take that $600 and you stretch that out over 30 years. It's less than a cup of coffee.
Exactly.
So I mean, you're really being able to sit down with a contractor and see what they're actually putting on your roof, instead of just the contractor coming up to you and say, "Hey, here's my quote. Hand it to you. Call me when you're ready." Having somebody that can sit down and show you exactly what they're putting on your roof and educate you as to why they're using that product.
Right.
There's certain products that are better, more soundly made than others. Instead of getting that just commodity shingle that you can buy at Home Depot or whatever, maybe find one that has a wider nail zone, better granule retention, all these other things. And it's not just roofing. It's, instead of, when you're dealing with HVAC, buying that builder grade unit, maybe we look into going with something that is a more efficient unit, like some of the Trane XV systems.
Exactly.
That now aren't just an expenditure, they're an actual return on investment because you're saving
You just said
40% of what.
And it's also a selling point. When you pull a house up on Zillow or any of the local realtor sites, you will never see a house that says new 3-tab shingle installed, but you will frequently say new dimensional or architectural shingle installed. The higher end 30 to 40 year shingles are selling points where the low end standard 3-tab shingle is not. Even though that product is effective for its lower lifespan, it is not a selling point. Same with the HVAC. You will frequently say, the ads say we had a new Trane 4-ton split unit installed a year and a half ago. You will never see we had a 4-ton Goodman or Gibson installed. Or, you will never see that. So the product that you're purchasing, like you said, added value. That value comes in not only with the functionality and lifespan of the product, but if you go to sell that property, going with the better product helps you in the back end when you're actually selling your home.
So with this market right now, are you busier than you've ever been?
Without a doubt. For the last 2 years, it's been unbelievable. I could work 7 days a week if and frequently have. I did last week. It's just crazy.
So if I'm getting ready to buy a house and they give me, I think, what is it, 10 days that we need to get an inspection?
It depends on how the contract's written. It's 10 to 14. The majority of realtors, the majority of contracts I see are 10 day from the date of acceptance of the contract.
So once they accept the contract, I can wait a few days and then give you a call and you can run right out.
Wait 7-8 days. Give us a call. No, the day your contract goes under and is effective, it's been accepted. You need to start contacting home inspectors, multiple, pest inspectors, multiple, and any other people involved in the process. I'm having an issue now. I'm booked 6-7 days in advance in most cases, and I know most home inspectors in Chattanooga are also. People are literally waiting. They'll call me Sunday night at 9:00 and be absolutely furious that I cannot do an inspection Monday morning. And no one else can either, and they're stuck. You've basically bought that house because you outwaited your due diligence period. So don't wait.
And you need to have time for your inspector to come back and say, hey, you need a specialist.
Ideally, you want it on the front end. If you go under contract today, start calling inspectors that night. Try to get one within 3 or 4 days if you can. That gives you time to work with your realtor on what the inspector finds. Most inspectors in town will have the report to you within 24 hours. I usually shoot mine out the same evening, if not on site. So the majority of them, you get them 8-9 o'clock that night. That gives you time to work with it, because a lot of times I'm telling you, you may want to get a roofing contractor to look at this roof. You've got some issues up there that need to be addressed, and they need to see what the scope is. That gives you time to go further into the due diligence and get the appropriate roof contractor, work with your realtor to discuss what you want to ask the seller to repair or negotiate. So get that inspection done as soon as you can on the front end of your due diligence period, if possible.
So with this market right now, we're seeing a lot of people that are trying to invest in maybe depressed properties.
Yes.
The investment market in this town is huge. I mean, a lot of, my wife owns a property management company. And so we have investors that we help find properties as well. Mm-hmm. And, it started out that the Nashville market was the one that was just absolutely exploding, and you can't find properties there anymore. So a lot of those investors have actually come into Chattanooga because there's some similarities with the population, and
the cost is lower.
But the cost is substantially lower. So now they've kind of taken that feeding frenzy that was in Nashville and brought it down here to Chattanooga.
I have done more with investors from out of state and out of Chattanooga this year than the previous 9 years combined, particularly from Nashville. Investors from Nashville are buying everything not nailed down in Chattanooga.
And so you've seen the rise of the property wholesaler.
Yes.
And a lot of them are they're not being honest with the buyers. They're saying, oh, well, you buy this property. There's not much you really have to do with it. All you've got to do, trust me, you don't need a home inspection, and you can get $1,050 every month for rent on this property that is in the middle of East Lake.
Mm-hmm.
And then the buyers are starting to realize that that's not true. You can't get that amount of rent out of it. And they probably should have had a home inspector to begin with. One thing that we've looked at in 2 properties that some of our that our investors have bought, not going through us, to have somebody like you come out and do inspection. 3 months into one property, a floor fell in, and we had to go in and replace floor joist. Another one, they came to us with this property, and it's got a foundation, but only on 3 sides. So so that now there's extra repairs that have to be done. Do you see a lot of that from?
Absolutely. I'm working
wholesalers.
I'm working with a lady now that's buying 3 duplexes, and they have issues. One needs a new roof, as a matter of fact. One has roof repairs that are needed. She's questioning now whether financially it makes sense, whether what she's going to put into these 3 units is justifying the revenue she's going to get back in rents. And it all comes down to math for these investors. Cash flow. Is it going to make money to offset the cost of operating that structure? And a lot of these wholesale properties are honestly in rough shape, particularly from people out of state that don't have feet on the ground here. They can't go out and look at the property themselves. It's highly advantageous to get somebody to go in there and look at that property to give you an idea of what you're getting into. If you go in and think you're going to get $700-800 a month in rent, and your cost on purchasing this home is going to be $300 or $400, well, you want somebody to tell you that your AC system's shot, you've got plumbing leaks, and you're going to have to get this stuff repaired. That's eating into the profitability of this unit. So, I'm seeing the wholesale market, and it has its place. I mean, but if they're honest and say, hey, this is a home that does need some repairs to get it up to code. The problem with a lot of some investors, I don't say a lot, I work with mostly good people that have good intentions, but I wouldn't rent a property I wasn't willing to live in myself. And some people will rent an absolute dump and don't care what the living conditions are. So, you really need to bring that property up to a livable condition. That's where the cost comes in, is what do I need to invest to get it up to that level?
So when somebody is trying to tell you, man, you better hurry up and buy this, we don't have time for a home inspection.
It's red flag.
Somebody else is going to come in and snap it out from under you. I've got 3 other people that have made an offer, but I'm holding it for you. Huge red flag.
In this market, they may be absolutely right, but that's a huge red flag. I wouldn't take that chance and take that gamble. If they're telling you that and they're pressuring you into this sale and trying to get it done, that right there makes me want to get someone to look at it even more.
Okay, got a question coming in from somebody on Facebook Live, Mike Steele. He asks, how do you know if you're getting a fair deal when you buy a house down here, and what are some of the basic signs? Mike, I'll be honest with you. I am not a licensed realtor.
Yeah.
And that is something that what I would advise you to do is get in contact with a good realtor that has very good referrals. Find out if you're looking at investments, find someone else that invests in properties and ask them who they use. If you have family members that, bought a property and they're very happy with what they got from their real estate agent, feel free, have them call that agent and have them come take a look at it. They're the ones that are the professionals that know the market, that can advise you best. And Mike, if you do have any questions about that, or you need a referral to a good realtor, you can give us a call. Chattanooga Roofing Contractors, 423-800-7752. That's 423-800-7752. We've got a very good network of people that can walk you through, and people that we've kind of pre-screened that we know they're out to help you and to be a resource and not just about making that commission. Yeah. All right. So Marty's called in and he's asked, so what are all the different things that a home inspector looks at? We've covered the roof. We've covered HVAC, sure, electrical and plumbing. What are some other things?
For me, I go from room to room. I look at the ceilings, walls, floors, open and closed windows, check accessible electrical outlets, doors, make my notes, photographs, key them into the computer, go to the next room. So it's a room by room process. I'll be testing the appliances for general functionality, cooktops, ovens, microwaves, exhaust fans. I run a cycle through the dishwasher to make sure it flows and drains and the door seals. The washing machines rarely convey with the property, but sometimes I will run those to see if it flows and drains properly. Looking for a water supply for the refrigerator. Testing the HVAC, depending on the exterior temperature. If it's 100 degrees outside, we test the air conditioning. If it's freezing cold, we test the heat. 65 degrees is kind of the defining line as to determining what we test. Looking at the general condition of the appliance or a fixture, looking at the functionality of it. We'll be testing all the plumbing fixtures, running water through sinks, tubs, showers, making sure they flow and drain properly and are sealed properly. Once I've run water through them, when I get in the crawl space, that makes it easy to see if there are any plumbing leaks from the water I ran previously. I'll be looking at the type of plumbing, general condition of the plumbing, obvious leaks and issues that might need to be addressed. Looking at the structure in the crawl space, foundation wall, floor structure, their insulation, vapor barriers. There are things I want to see and don't want to see in a crawl space. If the attic is accessible, we're looking at the roof structure, the condition of the sheathing or decking underneath the shingles, looking at the insulation levels and ventilation in the attic, any HVAC, plumbing, or ductwork that may be in the attic itself. The exterior, we look at the roofs. We don't all walk roofs. If it's accessible, low pitch, I'll walk it. I don't like walking on metal roofs because they're easy to bend and you get in trouble with the seller if you bend one. But we'll do a roof edge if we can't walk it, if it's a steep pitch or if it's raining or we can't walk it. Looking at the condition, the flashing, the transitions, gutters, downspouts, drainage away from the structure. Exterior of the home, you're looking at the siding type and condition, looking for caulking around windows and doors, any deficiencies or defects in the soffits and eave areas, just overall general condition.
Okay. So as we're winding down here, another thing that we're seeing here in Chattanooga is, man, there's a very huge lack of contractors that are available out there right now. And that's something that we plan on discussing in some other shows that are coming up. We're going to be looking at people getting into the trades. But if you're needing a contractor, if you have a contractor or for something that you need to have done, give us a call, Chattanooga Roofing Contractors, 423-800-7752. If it's not something we can handle, we can get you in touch with the right people. What we want to do is we want to be a resource for the Chattanooga community on finding good, reputable contractors that can help you out. If you need a home inspector, definitely give Doug a call at Win Home Inspection, and we will be more than happy to get you in touch with him if you need anything like that. But thank you for joining us for our first show.
Thank you for having me.
And we thank all of you, the listeners, and hope to see you again soon on our next show. Join us back again next Saturday from 10 to 11 and every Saturday after that. This is Scott Schrader with Chattanooga Roofing Contractors with We've Got You Covered Radio.
Chattanooga Radio, Digital FM 95.3 HD4, 92.7 FM's news now.
Congrats to the Tennessee Aquarium, named one of the 10 best aquariums in the world. According to TripAdvisor, the Chattanooga-based aquarium ranks 7th in the 2018 rankings. The